Hey nerds, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host Danny Sonsasi, and today we're talking about the 5 most underrated characters in DC Comics. Plastic Man is a superhero that first appeared in Police Comics #1. Originally published by Quality Comics, DC Comics acquired Plastic Man in 1956 when Quality closed down. Created by cartoonist Jack Cole, Plastic Man is actually one of the first superhero to incorporate humor into mainstream action comics. He brings sarcasm and shenanigans to the DC universe. Plastic Man, also known as Patrick Eel O'Brien, is a delightfully unconventional superhero to say the least. And here's a few reasons why you should appreciate him. Much like Batman, Patrick O'Brien was an orphan, and he did witness his parents' death. Unlike Batman, Patrick didn't have money. He was forced to live on the streets and get by the best way he possibly could, becoming a small-time crook. And it was his time on the streets as a small-time crook that earned him the nickname the Eel, because he was small and he was slippery and could sneak into small confined spaces that others of his group weren't able to. Unfortunately, during a heist of a chemical plant, things went awry. While shots were being fired, a bullet punctured one of the chemical vats, causing it to explode all over Patrick. Those chemicals that he was doused with granted him extraordinary abilities. And of course, everyone panicked when they saw him looking all melty. Like, it freaked him out. But he soon learned that he could stretch his body into any imaginable form. From a ball to a car. He could even shapeshift into anything he wants. He's even shapeshifted into Wonder Woman. No longer made of organic materials, Plastic Man is, in a sense, immortal. His adventures are known for their fun, offbeat, and quirky structure, and sometimes very surreal humor. Of course, he is a member of the Justice League and gets to interact with characters like Batman and Superman. In fact, Plastic Man is so powerful. He is one of the only characters that can actually stand his own against the Man of Steel. Plastic Man, or Patrick O'Brien, is a pun-dropping, wisecracking force of humor. His quips and one-liners add levity to of the more intense situations, which kind of makes his humor another one of his superpowers. Nursed back to health by an odd-looking man by the name of Woozy Winks, Plastic Man chooses the brighter side of life and abandons his criminal past to become the premier amalgam of humor, action, heroism. Plastic Man's very distinctive comedy has endeared him to readers of all ages. And his very interesting red supersuit and irreverent personality has really made him stand out to me in the world of DC Comics. And unlike iconic characters like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Plastic Man hasn't really received the spotlight in movies and TV shows like they have. His appearances are more sporadic, and it limits his recognition among casual comic readers, as well as the fact he's not the only hero of his type in the DC Comics roster. You also have Elongated Man, another stretchy guy with a very distinctive sense of humor. So the two tend to get confused a lot. Not to mention elasticity and shapeshifting. Well, his type of shapeshifting. They're just not as flashy as some other superheroes' powers. And some fans may overlook him because his powers tend to be more comical than courageous. Plastic Man's wisecracking nature really tends to appeal to a somewhat specific audience. While humor is refreshing, it can sometimes overshadow his heroic deeds. But Plastic Man's ability to stretch reality and himself, and his knack for laughter, make him a hero worth celebrating. His unique powers, humor, and unconventional journey make him an unsung hero worthy of recognition. Etrigan the Demon was created by Jack Kirby in 1972 and first appeared in The Demon #1. Now, Kirby designed him as a demonic hero at the request of DC Comics, and that's significant because Jack Kirby didn't want to do it. Jack Kirby wasn't into horror comics, and he didn't want to do one. He took inspiration from a comic called Prince Valiant. And when I say took inspiration, he straight up copied the mask that Prince Valiant wore for Etrigan's face. And that's something that happened a lot in comic books. There are a couple different origins for Etrigan. In the original story written by Jack Kirby, Etrigan the Demon was called up by Merlin, the Wizard of Camelot, in order to help protect the Book of Eternity from Morgan Le Fay. When his service to Merlin was finished, Etrigan just kind of wandered off. Now, Etrigan is immortal and he's super powerful, but as time goes by, he kind of forgets who he is, so to speak, and takes on the form of a man by the name of Jason Blood. So in the beginning, Etrigan and Jason Blood were one and the same. They were the same person, creature, what have you. But later it was retconned that Merlin actually fused Etrigan with this man, Jason Blood, in order to control him because he was super unruly. But in both incarnations, Camelot falls and Merlin lets Etrigan go. But Jason Blood and Etrigan remain inextricably linked. Etrigan has a very dragon-like persona. He shoots fire from his eyes and his mouth. He has scales and very yellowy green skin, red eyes, and these very pointed, spiky, webbed ears that kind of look like wings. And he speaks in rhyme, and I love that. It has one of the best rhymes I've ever heard in comic books. Whenever Jason Blood turns into Etrigan, he recites, "Gone, gone the form of man, rise the demon Etrigan." His rhyme to go back to Jason Blood isn't as fun. Now, Jason Blood, the human host that Etrigan is bound to, is not only a master martial artist, master swordsman, but also quite the accomplished sorcerer himself. And he's not quite John Constantine, but he gets the job done. Because Jason is bound to Etrigan, both are inherently immortal. Now, despite his violent tendencies, Etrigan usually aligns with the forces of good due to his connection with Jason Blood, I'm sure. He's been a part of some pretty impressive teams like Justice League Dark, the Demon Knights, and even Justice League United. His adventures span various comics, including his own series and team-ups with iconic characters like Batman. I highly recommend checking out Justice League Unlimited and movies like Justice League Dark because Etrigan's addition to any DC Comics animated series or movies is always a win. Etrigan's origins combines ancient magic, heroic alliances, and infernal power. It makes a captivating blend that really sets him apart in DC because he's a demon. He has superhuman strength, speed, agility, stamina, and heightened senses. And of course, there's the immortality and the regenerative healing. He has energy blasts, pyrokinesis. Etrigan has a complex morality. His alignment can be very fluid, even though he does align mostly with the forces of good, but he can be both hero and anti-hero. His actions always serve his own interests, whether good or otherwise. There's always something in it for Etrigan. And the unpredictability of that can really keep you entertained. His relationship with his human host, Jason Blood, frequently oscillates between camaraderie and conflict. His fiery powers, the switching back and forth between Etrigan the Demon and Jason Blood, and his magical abilities make him an absolutely formidable opponent. And his rhyming way of speaking adds kind of this old otherworldly charm. The character of Etrigan defies conventions. He's very atypical in the landscape of DC Comics. He struggles with identity and morality, and that tends to resonate with readers. And his wit, power, and enigmatic nature make him riveting. However, that dual nature that makes him so intriguing also makes him kind of difficult to categorize. And his rhyming speech and moral ambiguity appeal to a more specific audience. And remember, this is DC Comics. DC is about making aspirational gods, stark differences between good and evil, right and wrong. It makes Etrigan a very unique addition to the DC roster, but also almost out of place. While Etrigan has appeared in many team books and guest starred in various titles, he hasn't consistently headlined his own series, and solo titles are really what increases a character's visibility. Some fans may gravitate towards the more traditional classic superheroes and may not be as drawn to Etrigan's anti-hero tendencies. It also makes it difficult for them to market him when they're not consistently giving him his own solo titles. In the end, Etrigan is mysterious, but fun, and I do think it's time that more readers discover this fiery demon. Big Barda, whose real name is Barda Free, hails from the cosmic Fourth World, another creation of the legendary Jack Kirby for his Fourth World saga. She first appeared in Mr. Miracle number 4 in October of 1971. Raised on the nightmare planet of Apocalypse, Barda was the creation of a super soldier breeding program by the nightmarish super evil Darkseid. Literally born on the battlefield to her mother, Big Brita, she was then taken from her mother and raised, trained, and groomed for battle greatness by Granny Goodness. Despite her brutal upbringing and training as the fiercest of Darkseid's Furies, Barda possesses this unwavering sense of honor and desire for freedom. Barda lives up to her name. She's awe-inspiring in height, size, and power. Her sheer size makes her one of the tallest and most intimidating characters in the DC universe. As one of the new gods, she boasts immense strength, speed, agility, and stamina. She can hold her own against formidable opponents, even going toe-to-toe with Wonder Woman. And she's immortal. After fighting for Darkseid as one of his Furies for years, she was sent on a mission to retrieve a young girl who had escaped. But this mission affected her in a way Darkseid really didn't see coming. She started to sympathize with the young girl. She ends up meeting a man by the name of Scott Free, and there's this instant attraction. The two of them allow the girl to escape and lie to Darkseid in order for her to be free. Eventually, she and Scott do fall in love and get married. It's adorable. Their romance in DC Comics is so unbelievably underrated and underappreciated. Barda and Scott Free, who later becomes known as Mr. Miracle, end up having a love affair of longing that lasts over a century before they end up getting married and escaping Apocalypse together. Barda is a master of multiple forms of combat, wielding her skills with precision and ferocity. She's an expert swordsman incapable of felling any foe with her blade. She also has very special apocalyptic armor. It enhances her abilities as well as providing protection. And she is the carrier of the Mega Rod. Despite its very deceptively small appearance, the Mega Rod packs one hell of a punch. It fires concussive bolts, manipulates gravity, and allows her to instantly teleport to anywhere in the universe. Barda is a brilliant character, a warrior, a lover, a symbol of rebellion against tyranny. Her journey from Apocalypse to Earth is one of courage, redemption, and love. If you're looking to explore her adventures, definitely check out the Mr. Miracle comics. Beneath her tough exterior, Barda has a very compassionate heart. She cares deeply for her loved ones, especially her husband, Mr. Miracle. Barda's struggle with her past and her desire for freedom make her so relatable and human. And again, like all our other characters on these lists, she doesn't have consistent solo titles. She's mostly a supporting character, so She doesn't get a lot of attention and she tends to be overlooked. However, there is an upcoming young adult graphic novel called Barda, written and illustrated by Ngozi Ukazu, and it promises to explore Barda's early years and really delve deep into her character. Deadman, also known as Boston Brand, first appeared in Strange Adventures number 205 in October of 1967. Created by writer Arnold Drake and Carmen Infantino, Deadman's backstory is both tragic and supernatural. Boston Brand was an accomplished acrobat whose life was cut short by a sniper's bullet during a performance. After death, his disembodied spirit was intercepted and granted powers by the Hindu deity Ramakrishna. He was given the opportunity to basically work for Ramakrishna, being sent back to Earth as a disembodied spirit to right wrongs and help the innocent. Unfortunately, because he's a disembodied spirit, he's invisible to most people and intangible, which means he can't touch anything. But Deadman can temporarily inhabit the bodies of the living and use them to fight the forces of darkness. And while he's inhabiting these bodies of the living, he retains his expertise in acrobatics, unarmed combat, and now, thanks to Ramakrishna, the occult. Deadman roams the mortal realm, seeking justice for those who have been wronged. And though he can't directly interact with the physical world, he influences events by possessing others. He's a part of Justice League Dark, the Seven Soldiers of Victory, and the Sentinels of Magic. Deadman's struggle with his own death and quest for redemption make him pretty compelling, and his unique skill set and abilities set him apart from other characters. Having lost his life prematurely, Deadman grapples with the tragedy of his murder. His introspective moments reveal a depth of emotion and a longing for closure. He often reflects on the fragility of existence and the impact of his spectral existence in a living world. But Boston Brand also possesses a sharp wit and penchant for sarcasm. His banter with other heroes and villains, whether they can truly see or hear him or not, a lot of lighthearted color to the tense situations. His humor serves as a coping mechanism, allowing him to navigate the supernatural, absurd aspects of his existence. Despite his ghostly form, Deadman empathizes with the living. He feels their pain, fear, and joy whenever he's possessing their bodies. So his compassion drives him to intervene in their lives, offering guidance and protection when necessary. The mystery of his own murder haunts him. He seeks answers not only for justice, but also to understand the cosmic forces that granted him these abilities. His curiosity about afterlife, gods, and magic drives him to explore realms beyond the mortal plane. His ability to possess others allows him to adapt to various situations. He becomes a detective, a fighter, or strategist as needed. His resourcefulness ensures that he remains relevant in battles against supernatural threats. Deadman combines determination, wit, empathy, and a touch of tragedy, making him a compelling and underrated character in DC Comics. Because his stories often delve into a unique mixture of themes, it may not resonate with everyone. As a result, he appeals to a much more niche audience. His appearance, being a spectral figure, doesn't lend itself to flashy costumes or striking visuals either. He lacks the visual impact that other popular DC Comics characters have. And many readers tend to gravitate towards characters with immense power like Superman. Deadman's abilities are subtle and cerebral, which may not appeal to those looking for epic battles. Deadman emerged during the late 60s, a time where comics were undergoing significant changes. So his initial stories were pretty experimental and unconventional. While this makes him interesting, it also means he doesn't quite fit into the traditional superhero world. But despite these challenges, Deadman has a devoted fan base who appreciate his depth, moral dilemmas, and exploration of life after death. If you're intrigued by the mystical and introspective aspects in comics, give Deadman stories a chance. They might resonate with you. Vixen, whose real name is Mari McCabe, made her debut in Action Comics number 521 in July of 1981. She was created by Jerry Conway and Bob Oxner. Mari hails from a small African village, and her very unique abilities are tied to her Tantu totem. After witnessing the death of her parents at a young age, Mari escaped her village with her mother's Tantu totem. Through this totem, Mari can harness the spirit or ashe of any animal, past or present. Those abilities include animal imitation, meaning she can replicate the powers of any animal, including enhanced strength, speed, agility, stamina, and heightened senses. Mari's vision becomes much sharper, as well as the claws. This also has gifted her with an accelerated healing ability. Mari can also tap into what's known as the morphogenetic field energy, also known as the red. This connects her to all animals all over the planet. Now, when Mari becomes an adult, she actually becomes a supermodel and a designer and becomes super famous. It wasn't until one of Mari's fans accuses her of caring more about animals than she did people that Mari decides to take on the mantle of superhero and the name Vixen. Vixen's been a part of several superhero teams, including Justice League Detroit, Suicide Squad, Checkmate, Ultramarine Corps, Justice League International, Justice League of America 2, Justice League Foundation, and the Justice League Task Force. Vixen was created with purpose. Jerry Conway felt that there was an appalling lack of strong minority women leads in DC Comics and wanted to do something about that. Vixen's character was inspired by the empowered supermodels of the 1970s who took charge of their own images and identities. She embodies resilience and independence. She doesn't back down from challenges, whether in battle or in life. Mari approaches problems head on, cutting through distractions and focusing on solutions. Her commitment to protecting the natural world fuels her actions. That hyper-focus, the no-nonsense attitude, confidence, and fierce presence often gives her a reputation amongst her teammates and colleagues. And that makes her pretty relatable for women readers. She's not just a superhero. She's a woman navigating the fashion industry. Beyond the runway, Vixen advocates for animals. Her powers, tied to the animal kingdom and taking on their ashe, it really amplifies her passion for their well-being, and it makes her more empathetic. Mari's modeling background influences her approach to heroism. She understands image, branding, and the power of representation. Despite her rich backstory and very unique abilities, Vixen hasn't received the same spotlight as some other heroes. And those reasons are pretty much the same as any other. Inconsistency appearances in major titles and limited solo series. Vixen's no-nonsense attitude, modeling career, commitment to nature, and her very eclectic power set really makes her an interesting and unique character in DC Comics. And I really think you should check her out. As always, nerds, if you want the full story on any of these characters, I highly recommend you read the comics. For some titles that I think will help you get to know each of these characters better, I've listed them in the description below. That's all I have for you nerds today. Thank you so much for joining me. Do me a favor, make sure you hit that like button, smash the subscribe, and ring that notification bell to let our algorithm overlords know you would love to see more of my nerdy content. Until then, nerds, I've been Danny, you've been awesome, and I will see you in the next one. Make sure to check under your beds tonight because
Disney and Kathleen Kennedy are gonna get you!